against his policies call Donald Trump authoritarian. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker is among those going even further, calling him a wannabe dictator. Here's what the president said on Monday.
When I have some slob like Pritzker criticizing us before we even go there, I made the statement that next should be Chicago, because as you all know, Chicago is a killing field right now. And they don't acknowledge it. And they say, we don't need him, freedom, freedom. He's a dictator, he's a dictator. A lot of people are saying maybe we like a dictator. I don't like a dictator. I'm not a dictator. I'm a man with great common sense and I'm a smart person.
Well, Stephen Levitsky is a professor of government at Harvard University and the co-author of How Democracies Die. He joins us from Cambridge, Massachusetts. Stephen, welcome to the show. Just in the last 24 hours, and what 24 hours has been so far, we have seen the US president go after the Federal Reserve Governor, Lisa Cook, which my colleague and I, Richard Kress, were discussing, which, of course, an independent institution from the government. We have seen him sign executive orders creating specialized units in the National Guard. We have seen him threatening to send National Guard to Chicago. You have spent years studying the breakdown of democracies. Is U.S. democracy in danger? Are we seeing authoritarian tendencies playing out in the United States, Stephen?
Good afternoon. I would say we're beyond either of those things. We're beyond democracy being in danger. I wrote a book 8 years ago saying U.S. democracy was in danger. We are beyond authoritarian tendencies. The United States has unambiguously crossed the line into some form of authoritarianism. What Donald Trump has done in terms of repeatedly violating the law, violating the Constitution, and using the state, a weaponized state, to punish critics, punish opponents, and threaten and bully the media, civil society, universities, that has been more aggressive. It's been more far-reaching than the first year of Hugo Chavez in Venezuela, than the first year of Erdogan in Turkey, than the first year of Orban in Hungary. So if that's not authoritarianism, hard to say what is.
So that begs the question then, how is he getting away with it? Because in one of your New York Times pieces, which I read today, you say Americans are living under a new regime. The question now is whether we allow it to take root. So far, American society's response to this authoritarian offensive has been underwhelming, alarmingly so. Why do you think that is? Why is society not fighting back?
So there's your answer. The reason why Trump's getting away with it is that American society, particularly the most powerful members of American society, there are many, many Americans who are very worried, who are turning up to town halls, who are joining rallies, who are mobilizing against this authoritarian turn. But our most powerful institutions, the civil society, business, the media, universities, labor unions, religious institutions, have been remarkably quiet. Politicians too. And I'm still trying to figure out why. This is a big puzzle for all of us. But let me give one possible answer. And that is, unlike many other democracies in the world, unlike Spain or Germany or Italy or Argentina or Brazil or South Korea or Chile, we have never lost a democracy. Most Americans have never experienced living under authoritarian rule, and we don't know what it's like. And most Americans continue to cling to this notion of American exceptionalism, through which something in the water or the air or maybe the Constitution or maybe the culture makes us immune to authoritarianism. Most Americans to this day, very smart, educated Americans, still do not really believe it can happen here. And that, frankly, is killing us.
The exceptionalism part, which is something I've heard repeatedly, even from a Nobel Peace Prize winner just in the last 6 months or so. But we played that little clip, I'm sure you heard there, Stephen, of President Trump, denying that he wants to be a dictator. But he also said yesterday, a lot of people are saying maybe we like a dictator. And the reason I bring this up is because earlier this year, and you probably know this, a Pew Research Center poll showed 59% of Republicans and the Republican-leaning independents agreed that many of the country's problems could be better solved if, quote, Donald Trump didn't have to worry so much about the Congress and the courts. I mean, it probably ties into the previous comment you made. How do these comments resonate with some of the research you have done and what you've been hearing as you try to wrap your head around this?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's important to note that 59% of Republicans is a lot of people, and it's turning the Republican Party into a very, very problematic institution, one that's threatening our democracy. But at 59% of Republicans is nowhere near a majority of Americans. A majority of Americans, a solid majority of Americans, still support democratic rights and democratic institutions. One big reason why Republicans have been creeping, Republican rank and file, are creeping in an increasingly authoritarian direction is that almost nobody among the Republican leadership will tell them the truth. No Republican leaders will tell their followers, no, this is not okay. No, the Constitution doesn't allow this. No, authoritarianism wouldn't be good for this country. They've shut up. They've shut up now for 6 or 7 years, and anybody who has spoken out in defense of democracy and the Constitution, people like Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, they've been run out of the party. So the one reason why so many Republicans now believe in some form of authoritarianism is that none of their leaders will tell them the truth.
And finally, I know you've spent 20 plus years studying democracy and the death of democracies, not just in Latin America, but in Europe too. Just what can we learn from history here?
One thing we can learn from history is that our leaders, and I think back to Germany and Italy in the interwar period, is that when our leaders abdicate, when they don't stand up and defend democratic institutions and democratic rights, they effectively surrender power to an authoritarian government. And that can very quickly accelerate and collapse into dictatorship. Donald Trump is much more emboldened today than he was 6 months ago. And he is because we as a society, and again, mostly our leaders have let him do it. Our court, our Supreme Court, the Republican Party, and business, media, universities, civil society. We have to stand up and defend our institutions if we want to keep them.